Hola amigos, ¿cómo están? My name is Dan and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking all about Chivas. And the first thing I want to talk about obviously is the Nuevos Refuerzos getting their official presentation a few hours ago now, which is absolutely awesome. All four of them obviously being officially presented to the fans and to the world at large. And it's, a really good event. It's really good players. There's a whole bunch of positives to take from this, and I'll get into that in a second. But the negative, I think, is that it kind of does signal to me anyway that we're done transfer-wise this season now. I think we're not going to be signing anyone else. Probably not going to be loaning anyone else or selling anyone else either. I think it's all done now, and I think this is just a culmination of the transfer window for Chivas and all ready for the first game of the season, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. But yeah, let's get straight into all the players. Obviously, all of them were there. Efrain Alvarez, Brian Gonzalez, Campillo, and as well as Richie Ledesma as well. All four of them got their official presentation. Really epic. Really cool to see all four of them there. There's been a few photos of all four of them together, and it's awesome. And it got me thinking while the presentation was happening. It was like, well, could this be the best transfer window for Chivas that we've had ever, maybe? I know we had the Galactico thing a few years ago now, but most of those transfers didn't really work out. Whereas I feel like these are really astute transfers. They're all positions that we needed to fill. Brian Gonzalez, in particular for me, is important. Selling Mateo Chavez, we'll talk about him in a minute as well. Selling him to Europe left a massive gap in our squad. He was probably our best outfield player last season, and that's saying a lot seeing as he's a left back. We had a terrible season last season, and replacing him was a maximum priority for me, and I was kind of worried what we were going to do with it. I thought the likelihood was we were going to bring someone else in from the youth system, like we did with Chavez. Chavez came in from the Cantarano as well. But we did. We went out and got Brian Gonzalez, who ended up having a really good Club World Cup. And I couldn't be happy with that signing. I mean, I think maybe he's better than Chavez at the moment. I think he's got more experience than Chavez had last season in particular, the beginning of last season, shall I say. So I think that's a really, really astute signing. Obviously, getting Campillo back was a great signing as well. Our defence has definitely gone up with these two players. The only negative with Campillo is that we shouldn't have sold him in the first place. We should have just loaned him out, but brought him back, and it was kind of complicated as well. There's other transfers happening. Sometimes transfer windows do get clogged up and they're all interconnected somehow, and that held that up for a while. But bringing him back was a really good move. So yeah, I think our defence has gone up really well. We've upgraded spectacularly, in my opinion. Going into Richie Ledesma, who I think will be playing in kind of box-to-box midfield role. He can play right back as well, which is handy. You always want players that can play multiple positions. And he played right back a lot for PSV, which is interesting, but I don't think we signed him for a right back role. I think, we kept Mozo. Maybe if we'd sold Mozo, like the club I think originally wanted to, then I think maybe he could have been playing right back a lot for us. But obviously Mozo fought hard to stay, which is fantastic for me. I love Mozo, so I'm really happy he's staying. And we've got Gomez as well, a couple of other players that can play right back as well as needed. Castillo being one of them. So I think right back we're sorted. I think centre mid is where we're going to be seeing a lot from him, and he's played centre mid a lot for pre-season, scored a couple of goals if I'm not mistaken. So really happy for that. Box to box midfielder is what we need. Again, similar to defence, midfield was our weakest point I think for last season. Guti had a really decent season, but apart from that, no one really stepped up. Nene, I think Nene's going to do well in his loan. I think that's going to end up being permanent, and I think Ledesma's a step up on Nene. I'm not just saying that because biasness and this is the player we've got, this is the player we sold. I honestly think that Ledesma, I think, is better than Nene was last season. That's what I'm going to say. So we stepped up with him with that. And then the final Refuerzo I want to talk about, obviously, is Efrain Alvarez. Most hyped about this guy. Like I tweeted out, somebody said, rank the new transfers, by your excitement, and obviously I put Efrain at the top. It's an attacking transfer, so it's an attacking player. That's always the most exciting position. But like I said, I feel like we're going to play him as a number 10. I think he's going to be the central attacking midfielder for us. He can play out on the wings as well, which is great. But I think we're good with with our wing players. So, um, I really do think that we're going to see him at Cam, and I think he's going to do really well because obviously creating chances last season was another area that we kind of failed in. We just couldn't really seem to break some teams down, and hopefully that he can come in and do that. Piojo, I think, is still going to stay on the right hand side. I think Kate Cow's going to play out on the left. Yale Padilla is going to start playing. I think he can play either position, but Padilla can play in the wings as well. So we're good wing wise. So I think Efrain's going to play as a cam. I think for me, had a fantastic preseason. You have to look at the caliber teams that we played in preseason, but still, I think he had a really fantastic preseason. And he's obviously a massive. They all seem to be Chivas fans, which is absolutely amazing. But Efrain, I think, is going to be a crucial player for us. I really, really want. I think he's got a really good rapport with Pulido, and Hormiga comes in off the bench and scored a whole bunch of goals in preseason. I think they're basically going to be our strikers. Taylor Walker kind of fizzled out in preseason for me. Hormiga came on the bench, came on off the bench and scored a whole bunch of times in the preseason. So I think he's fought successfully for a chance to at least do the same in the first game of the season. Like I said, my preseason won 2 trophies, which is always epic. We won every single game. I think we drew one actually, but I think we won the rest. Which is all you can need. I mean, everyone says, "Oh, if you have a bad preseason or a good preseason," everyone always says, "But it's only preseason," which is true. The main priority of preseason is to get game time, get running legs back on, get fitness levels back up. Match fitness is a thing that needs to be sharpened. That's what preseason is for. But if you're going to have a successful preseason, that's generates a good feeling. And obviously you just want to take that good feeling and take it to the first game of the season and into the season, and who knows what we can do. I've got a really good thing about preseason. Our preseason was brilliant, and the whole transfer window. I mean, I tweeted out as well, like, we kind of accidentally stumbled on a really fantastic transfer window, and I say accidentally because no one expected it. It was unexpected. The way the season ended, getting Milito and the new manager, it was a whole massive question mark about what we were going to do in the transfer window and what we were going to do in the next season. Milito seems to be brilliant at the moment. I'm not getting my head, too high in the sky, but he's done everything right at the moment, and he's made a very, very clear choice to try out as many players as possible. And some players obviously took a while to get back into the team because, Club World Cup and all that. And, Piojo, Mexico. But although Piojo went straight back to Chivas, he didn't have a holiday, which is fantastic for him. Hopefully he can step up in the season as well. You have to kind of just... I feel like we've replaced players in key positions that we needed to replace. We've loaned out a whole bunch of players. That doesn't automatically mean that they're definitely leaving. Diego Ochoa as well had a fantastic first game for Juarez. Was their best player, if I'm not mistaken. I think he got player of the game for them. That doesn't mean that he's going to go to Juarez permanently, although that's the trend at the moment. I feel like if Ochoa and some of these other players do well on loan, there's a position for them coming back. Especially with Ochoa, centre-back position for me still was a little bit tenuous. Tiba, I think his time at Chivas is coming to an end unless he drastically improves. Martinez as well had a bit of a difficult preseason, but Ochoa, I feel like could come back in. He's a good example of that. But there are players that are Nene, I think, will leave permanently. But like I said, the loan moves I think are all for the most part needed for game time and for a way to get players out of the club. So we've our defence is way better. Our midfield's way better. Romo had a really good pre-season, which is great because he let me down last season. Hopefully he steps up this season. We've improved the tackle wise with Efrain Alvarez. He had a fantastic season with Cholos. He was one of, if not their best player last season. Cholos fans in the comments, let me know if I'm wrong about that. I think they missed him the first game of the season. So, I feel like we've done well in all the positions that we've needed to do well in. I think, my goalkeeping thing. Obviously, I love Dragon. I really want to see him as a Chivas goalkeeper, and I think he will be at one point. But last season, barely played when he did. You know, we had I think he had one really good game. The rest were kind of dodgy, but that was mainly on the defense as well. It wasn't just him. Um, Surprised we haven't loaned him out yet. I really feel like we need to loan him out. It does look like with Wally's number change, it does look like he's going to be the number two under Talarangal now, which is okay. Wally's older. He's got way more experience. I feel like Milito likes him a lot, and that's fine. You know, if he's done well in preseason, which he did, and Milito's been won over, that's fine. You know, I'm going to trust the coach on this one. Um, but Dragon needs game time, and he definitely does not need to go back to Tapatio or that. He needs to get a load out. So I'm still waiting on him. Maybe there's moves in. Maybe he's injured. I'm not sure. Maybe there's moves in the background that's going to happen. I don't know. But I feel like Dragon's going to get loaned out at some point. So yeah, most of the transfer moves that we've done for me has improved, and it's been unexpected. Like I said, no one knew what was going to happen this transfer window, and we've got four fantastic players in, young, proven players as well. All of them are league proven. The Desmonds from Europe, if you can do well in PSV and in the Eredivisie, then I think he could do well in Liga MX. I think he's going to set the league on light. I think Efrain is going to set the league on light as well. I think both our defensive transfers are going to do really well as well. So, at the moment, I saw an article by One Football the other day about the top five teams that could win the league next season, and Chavez were not on it. And I thought it was quite funny, really. It's like, really, have you not looked at our Refuerzos this summer? But it is what it is. Our track record does speak against us, and there's always a question mark about new transfers. Are they going to succeed? Are they not going to succeed? Is the team still going to be crap, even with these good players coming in? We have to wait and see for that. And the new coach as well is yet to be seen how well he can play in Mexico and how well he can manage in Mexico and how well he can understand the league. But at the moment, he's done everything right. I've got no negative feelings or opinions on Milito right now, and that's before the first game of the season. So yeah, it's quite funny, really. I was like, really, have you not seen our transfer window this season? Have you not seen that we've still got Hugo Cambreros, who everyone is raving about? He could still leave as well, to be fair to him. That's still happening, but I think he might still stay this season and then maybe move in January, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, I tweeted out as well, I'm very happy with us being underdogs this season, going under the radar a little bit, win a few games, get into the Liga position, and then once, like I said loads and loads of times, Liga, when you get to Liga, anything is possible. And I feel that, honestly, and I think if Milito gets to Liga at least in his first season, I think that's a good season, to be honest with you. If it clicks, if the defence is better, if the goalkeeper's better, if the midfield's way better than it was last season, and if we're scoring goals for fun, then I think we could beat anyone in this league. I really, really do. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, I'm very happy with us being underdogs, and be quiet and quietly, get to Liga and then compete for the title. It'd be fantastic, and if Milito, God willing, manages to win the title in his first season, mate, that'll be a dream come true. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Talking about loans as well, I just want to say that obviously Fidel Barajas has gone on loan to Atletico San Luis. Fantastic move for me. I watched some of the games he played for the under-23s last season, and he didn't really impress me at all, to be honest with you. Whether it's because he's under-23s and he really could be bothered, I don't know. But this is fantastic. If you want to go to loan out, if you've got a young player that has potential, you want to loan him out to another Liga MX club, and we've done that. San Luis, he's going to get minutes from San Luis, he should do. If he doesn't get minutes for San Luis, then there's definitely something up with this kid. Like I said, he didn't impress me in the under-23s. I saw a few games, more than a few games of him. The Chivas show the under-23 games on YouTube. I don't know whether that's going to happen this season, but over the last few years, they've been showing all their games on YouTube, and I've caught a load of games with him playing, and he didn't impress me, to be honest with you. But maybe he steps it up now. He's going to be playing for a Liga MX club. Hopefully he does well. He should get minutes and be another player that we can bring back in. Maybe K. Cal goes in the summer. American players do find it a lot easier to go to Europe than Mexican players do. So I can see K-Cal leaving. Not that I want to see him leave. I thought he was going to leave this summer, to be honest with you. But his number change is a new number 7 now. He's not leaving anytime soon. But he may leave in January if he has a really good season, scores a bunch of goals. God willing, we win the league. I think he could leave. And yeah, there's a space on the wings out for Barajas if he does actually perform in San Luis. So again, very astute with our loanings this season. Hopefully, the loanees can prove us all wrong or correct and do really well and fight for a spot to come back. All these players want to play for Chivas. American fans, Tigres fans, whatever, if they turn around to you and say that Chivas is no longer a big club, unless you're a hardcore American player like Raul Jimenez, every single Mexican player would love to play for Chivas. All our new Refuerzos this season they're all fans. Efrain's been a fan since he was a kid. His family are fans. Chivas are a huge club in terms of fan base, in terms of being loved by their fans. Maybe not necessarily for the trophies of late. Our trophy records speak for itself. But it's still a big club. And I feel like a lot of rival fans do seem to forget that sometimes. And all these loanees, they want to play for Chivas. They don't want to be playing for these other teams. They want to be playing for Chivas. They recognise that they have to play for these teams now to fight for a chance to improve, to develop, and then, come back to Chavez. I think we're on a good thing here at the moment. If we win the league or not. Even if we don't get to Liga, I think we will get Liga, but even if we don't, we're creating a lot of really good young players in this team now. Chavez, for example, we'll talk about him in a minute before we finish the video. Hugo Cambreros is the next one. I really feel like he could go to Europe this summer and go to a decent team and do really well. Mateo Chavez, his career at the moment, wow. We can see the same with Cambreros, and we just have to wait and see who the next player is going to be, because I feel like that we're starting on a roll now. I'm hoping that Mateo Chavez is, his story so far is been noticed by the club, and obviously all the players, especially Cambreros, are looking at Chavez going, wow, they should be anyway. But I think the club are going, wow, this is pretty good. Our player, our Cantarano, our youth player is now doing really well in Europe and in the Mexican first team as well. Maybe we're onto something here. Hopefully that light bulb has gone off for some of these guys up in the front office of the club, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, anyway, talking about Mateo Chavez for a short while before we ended the video. Obviously everyone knows now he scored his first goal for AZ Alkmaar against Ghent. They had their pre-season friendly and he scored a fantastic goal. Everyone should have seen the goal by now. Obviously everyone's seen that he scored a goal. And there's even a couple of people that have only just started to watch the actual goal and they're like, wow, that's actually a really good goal. Brilliant. Because you want that. You want your left back to score some goals for you, and hopefully, I feel like it won't be too long. I don't know enough about Alkmaar to know who he's going to be competing with at the left wing spot or the left back spot. So I don't know if there's someone senior up there he has to compete with, but I feel like he's going to be their first team left back sooner rather than later. And it's brilliant so far, and hopefully he can land with both feet and really do well this season. Hopefully, the Eredivisie is, it's PSV, it's Feyenoord, and a couple of others, but, Alkmaar have, been a successful club for that league, so hopefully they can push on and do some other things, good things. But even if they don't, I feel like his quality is enough that, other teams, bigger teams, have to at least have one eye kind of sideways looking at Mateo Chavez right now, because he's on the up, and 22 I think he's now. Arguably Mexico's starting left back now. Some people have Gallardo still starting. I have no idea why. I feel like Mateo Chavez, if he does well from between now and Christmas, does well, scores a couple of goals, has a few clean sheets, I feel like he'll eclipse Gallardo his whole career. And I don't think that's too much of it sounds kind of outrageous, but I don't think it is really. Gallardo should have gone to Europe himself. He chose not to. He spent his whole career in Mexico. So, we'll have to wait and see. But Mateo Chavez scored a fantastic goal. Debut goal, pre-season. Sure, everyone takes it easy in pre-season, but brilliant start. What a few months he's had. And hopefully it's an example for the club now to kind of go, you know what, we we benefit from these players going to Europe. Whereas before we benefit by selling them to Liga MX because you get tons of money. Well, we could have got tons and tons of money for Chavez, but he'd be playing us, a couple of times a year. Whereas now he's in Europe, he's starting his adventure in Europe. He's already been noticed by the Mexican national team. Aguirre likes him. I think he's going to be Mexico's best left back for a few years. It's going to be a few years, providing, injury wise, hopefully he can stay healthy. But yeah, if he can do that, mate, the sky's the limit for Chavez. And I feel like, if he does well for a couple of years, if he's at Alkmaar for 2 years, that's 24. A 24-year-old epic left back in the Eredivisie is going to be looked at by a lot of top European clubs. So I can't wait for that. Watching, like I tweeted out, like watching his career is going to be an absolute privilege, and it's fantastic. And it's like, yeah, my club made that player and gave him the opportunity to go to Europe, and hopefully we can replicate that with some more players. But anyway, let me know what you think about everything we talk about. Obviously, the new game, the first game of the season. Obviously, it's game 2, which is complicated. Our game against Tigres got postponed for, I don't know, whatever reason. I think it's because of the Akron's pitch, actually. I'm not quite sure. But the first game is obviously going to be away from against Leon, I think. I should have known that before I got the video. But that's going to be I can't wait, really. And I didn't think I was going to think that at the end of the last season. I thought, But now it's like, they've totally changed my opinion. Obviously, it's new season hype. Pre-season was brilliant. You have to take it with all with a pinch of salt and all with a bit of a balanced mind. But it's hard not to be excited about Chivas right now. Our new players in, new coach as well. It'd be interesting to see all these players and the coach playing in Mexico and see how they do. Getting the first win away from home is going to be vital. We have to do that. But we'll have to wait and see. Even if we lose against Leon, God willing we don't. But even if we do, I still feel like, it's new coach, a whole bunch of new players. But, we've got a really good team now. And hopefully everyone's improved and we're ready to go again. But, yeah. Anyway, guys, I'll be back on Monday to do a video because it's Sunday morning, the game time for me. So, I'll do a video probably Monday at the latest. So, stay tuned for that. And I'll see you guys very soon. Take care and have a good weekend as well. And yeah, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon. Adios.